Hello everyone, welcome to the video series on learning Linux using Ubuntu, and in this particular video we will see what are file permissions. So to understand file permission you need to remember this statement. In Linux there are three different types of file permissions for three different types of people. Just make sure that you remember this by heart. If you do that, you will not forget what I am gonna tell you right now. Okay, just remember that there are three different types of file permissions for three different types of people. So let's go ahead and first see what are three different types of file permission. Let's explore it one by one. The first permission is called permission for reading. This is the permission just like you are reading a book on a Kindle where you can read the book but you cannot do anything other than that. This is called reading permission. Another permission is about writing permission where you can alter the contents of the file. Altering can include adding new contents as well as removing existing contents. The third permission is executing permission. This permission is not given to all the files because it's required for specific types of files, the kind of files which does something, some set of activities to get your systems and services up and running. This permission is not for all the files, and in some later video I'll talk about all this. So these are three permissions which we should look into. Permission number 1 is about reading. Permission number 2 is about writing. Permission number 3 is about executing. So there are three types of reading, writing and executing. Reading is depicted by a small r, writing is depicted by small w, and executing is depicted by small x. So whenever you want to change, set or alter the permission of a file, you will use either R, W or X. There is another way of representing the same is by numbers, so in which reading is represented by 4, writing is represented by 2 and executing is represented by 1. So when you are giving a permission to a file, when you say RW, that means you are giving reading and writing permission. When you give WX, that means you are giving writing and executing permission. When you give R or X, that means reading or executing permissions. If you want to do that with numbers, you will have to put 4 for reading permission. But if you want to give more than one permission, you have to combine the numbers and sum them. For example, in here 4 plus 2 equal to 6. This means that you are giving reading and writing permission. In here, if I say 4 plus 2 plus 1 equal to 7, which means that I am giving reading, writing and executing permission to a file. If I say 4 plus 1 equal to 5, that means I am giving reading permission because 4 represents reading and executing permission because 1 represents executing. Similarly, I can give permission called 2 plus 1 equal to 3 where 2 represents writing and 1 represents executing. That means 3 represents writing and executing permission to a file. Whenever you are changing the permission of a file, you will write only these numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 6, 4. So these are the numbers you will write which will depict what are permissions you are going to give for a file. Now let's talk about what are those three different types of people for which we need to set the file permissions. So let's explore all the three types of people. The first set of people is the owner of the file, the person who has the absolute right on the file and can do anything with it. Another set of people are groups of people. These are the people which you can trust as part of a group, and other set of people are others, which are totally different than you or the group you belong to, and you don't know who they are and what they do. So here are these three types of people. They are called users or owners, groups and others. The owners are represented as U, the group is represented as G, the others are represented as O. So they are all small case. U, G and O are a small case. So to remember these three different types of permission for three different types of people, you need to remember this matrix RWX 421 UGO. To play with any kind of file permission settings, you are gonna use one of these 9 things. Okay, so let's go ahead, open our Linux terminal and play with some file permissions. So I have logged in into my Ubuntu Let me open the file manager and let me create a file over here in my home. Okay, so to create a file, let's open our terminal. There are two ways to open the terminal. We can go to our application area and type terminal, or in here I can just right click and say open in terminal. So this is my terminal over here. Let me just rearrange it. So I need to create a file over here. Let me create an empty file. I will use the touch command to create an empty file. You can see that the abc.txt is created over here. Touch is a command to create an empty file, okay, or change the timestamp of an already existing file. So now let me see the permission of abc.txt. To see the permission, we have to use a command called ls-l. L is the long and abc.txt. Now, as I have already told you, there are three types of permission for three types of people. So you can see that there are three types of permissions for three types of people. The first set of permission belongs to the user or the owner. The second permission is for the group, and the third permission is for others. Now let's talk about changing the permission. To change the permission, we will use chmod command. I'll say chmod. Now how will we change the permission? Remember I told you that user is represented as small u, group as small g, others as small o. So let's talk about users. So user is already having read write permission, but I want to give execute permission. So I'll say plus means give execute permission for user in this file. Now if I say ls-l abc.txt, you can see that user have read write execute permission. Similarly, I can do the same thing for group. It will give execute permission to group. If I say ls-l, you can see that the group got execute permission. Now, if I want to give more than one permission, what I'll do is that, let's say for other, I want to give all the permission. So I'll say rwx. I'm giving plus rwx, which means I'm giving read write execute permission to other. So if I go ahead and do ls-l, you can see that others are having read write execute permission. To take back permission, you can do minus. In here I am saying others minus read write execute. So if I go ls-l, you can see that others are having no permission. So you have to specifically do it for user groups and other, but if there are common permissions which you want to give, you can use small a. A small a represents all. So if I say chmod a, I say rwx abc.txt. This means that all will get read write execute permission. I can revoke permission from all by minus read write execute, and if I do ls-l, you can see that none of them are having any permission. The prefix, this dash represents it's a normal file. This is something which we will talk in some later videos. This is just stating that this file is a normal file. If there is a directory, it will say D. For example, normal ls-l, all the directory D will be written. Now this is all about using U, G, O and R, W and X. Now how to use numbers? Let me clear and give ls-l abc.txt. Now I want to give read write execute permission to user group and other. I'll say chmod 777 abc.txt. Now 777 means, as you remember that I said 7 means 4 plus 2 plus 1, which means read plus write plus execute. All permission to all of them. Now you can see that all permissions are there to all of them. If I say change mode 700, all the permissions from group and other will be revoked, as you can see it over here. I can give a specific permission. For example, if I say 753, what will it be? 7 means all permission. 5, how does 5 come? 4 plus 1, what 4 represents read, 1 represents execute, which means group will get read and execute permission. How does 3 comes? 2 represent write, 1 represent execute. So write and execute will be given as 3. Write and execute is given to others and read and execute given to group. Okay, now let me just remove all permissions 77000 abc.txt. Now I don't have any permission in this file. Now if I just give one number, what will happen? This is not an error, but if you just give only one number, Linux will treat it as the permission for others. So if I go ahead and see that, you can see that RWX is there for others. If I give two numbers, Linux will consider it as permission for group and others. So if I go ahead and do ls-l, you can see that it is meant for group and others. Three numbers are good enough. So if I say 477, it is good enough for user, group and others. So you can see that user, groups and others. So that's all about how you play with file permissions. Just remember that there are three different types of file permissions for three different types of people. So that's all about this particular video. Thanks a lot guys. Thanks for watching. Please take a moment to like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you. Thanks a lot.